previously on AOR.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sepang for the Box Gaming coverage of the AOR PC Split 1 Malaysian Grand Prix. I am of course Justin, and joining me as always is Mikko.
Thank you very much, Justin. So it was Kifla who got the win in Australia with a dominant victory over Jack First in second place and Alex Gillen in third. Kifla won by over 30 seconds with his McLaren, and as with the last race, Malaysia was one of the tracks that got skipped during Season 7, so there are no previous results to go off of, and the race should be a big question mark for those driving on the grid this year. And now back to Justin for the side-by-side qualifying comparison featuring the two Caterhams of Klawutski and Kristian Nenov.
Thank you very much, Mikko. So in the qualifying side-by-side comparison, we've got the two Caterhams of Klawutski and Kristian Nenov, both of them opting for the option tires, as most of the drivers did for this race. It is a dry qualifying, of course, braking for the first corner just before the 50-meter board. Very wide corner here, very easy to do some trail braking into the corner, so you can brake very late for it. And after the first couple of corners, Klawutski already seems to be up a little bit on Kristian. Both of the drivers using a little bit of curves to help them through turn 3 as they approach turn 4 and the end of sector 1, and braking just after the 100-meter board, right around the 100-meter board, and we can see Klawutski coming very close to a corner cut there as he's trying to carry as much speed through turn 4 as possible and running the car out a little bit wide there. Both drivers feeding the car over to the right and full throttle through turn 5 and letting the car run out to the left to open up turn 6 as best they can. Both drivers doing a fantastic job. Braking down now to 4th gear for the double apex, turn 7 and turn 8. And then accelerating down towards the hairpin. This is the slowest corner of the track, and using first gear there as they make the climb up the hill now. Turn 10 towards turn 11, and at the end of sector 2 now, we can see that the cars are a little bit closer than they were, as Kristian in sector 2 there claws back a little bit of that time on Klawutski, his teammate there. And both drivers accelerating full throttle through turns 12 and 13, being very careful to spot the difficult braking point for turn 14, the decreasing radius corner that gets tighter as it goes. And both drivers on the curves, but Klawutski using a little bit more curves than his teammate Kristian as they make the run down to the hairpin at turn 15. Not quite first gear for this hairpin, most drivers using second gear, but actually both drivers using first gear here in the qualifying in an effort to get the best exit. And Kristian using the rest of his curves, but unfortunately a couple tenths down on his teammate.
So it is Gaston Rivero on pole with championship leader Kifla right beside him. Granu qualifies third with newcomers Kramma and Klawutski in 4th and 5th respectively. Season 7 champion Alex Gillen manages a 6th place with Umar Boyassi starting behind him in 7th place, and completing the top 10 are Kristian Nenov and the Red Bulls of Jack First and Fat First. The only cars opting for the prime tires are Cem Bolukbasi in the Mercedes and F1 DJ in the Force India.
Thank you very much, Mikko, for that detailed qualifying report. So the cars are lined up on the grid. There is a 0% chance of rain, and Gaston Rivero is on pole with his Force India, followed by Kifla in the McLaren and Granu in the Mercedes. It's a long run down to turn 1, and the corner is very wide, easily accommodating 3 cars side by side. It's going to be interesting to see how everyone handles the first couple of corners here. So it's interesting, though, that we got the Force Indias at the very front and very back of the grid, so it's going to be interesting. We've got 5 lights, and they're away. Wow, that was quick. We're on board with Kramma now with a very impressive P4 in qualifying. That's going to definitely help him in the race, but he's already got Klawutski coming up the inside of him. He's going to have the inside line on Kramma here for turn 1. And Alex Gillen in the Ferrari here doing his best to just kind of stay out of the way. And oh gosh, oh yeah, I saw that door closing on him. And the two Caterhams kind of sandwich Alex Gillen, and Kristian Nenov comes off worse for wear as he's actually used all of his KERS already, as the Williams of Boyasi is just behind him. And we're coming to the end of Sector 1, Lap 1 here. And Klowitzki already dropped a couple of positions. He's down to 6th, while Alex Gillen is up to 5th now. Going through the very high-speed Sector 2. Lots of dirty air effect here, but Klowitzki doing a great job of trying to stay out of Alex Gillen's dirty air, and he does that very well. And again, breaking down to 4th gear for this double apex. Very fun series of corners here in Sector 2. Personally, I really enjoy them. And we got Fat First, who's looking up the inside of Boyatsi in the Williams, and it looks like he's going to make that move stick. Yeah, he just made that move look really easy. That's an impressive move on the opening lap here from Fat First. Clearly, the Red Bulls not happy with their starting position.
Yeah, making their way through the field, and Kristian Nenov having a little look to the penultimate corner here, and Klowitzki goes really wide. I don't know, was there any contact or a lag bubble or something? But he's just dropped back. There's something
behind the Red Bull.
There's something in the radio, I think someone said. Maybe there was a little bit of contact, not sure.
Possibly, or at least some very close driving. I think that was Cem Bolukbasi in the Mercedes just giving a little message over to someone to be a little careful. So here's a replay of the start. We're on board with Fat First in the Red Bull, right alongside his teammate Jack First in the other Red Bull, and getting a great view of the top 8 cars as they go into turn 1. And Fat First opting for the outside line here, which is of course going to give him the inside. Oh no, as he's got some oversteer, and that looks like it has seriously hampered several cars. Looking like the other Ferrari of I'm sorry, not Alex Gillen. Yeah, Izamusing looking like he maybe got a little bit caught out there, and lost a significant amount of time. And possibly some positions as well. So here we are at the end of lap 1, start of lap 2, and Granu and Kramma are going side by side. Kramma is really putting in an impressive showing here in Malaysia after a pretty disappointing result in Australia. Things didn't really go his way, but he's showing impressive pace here as Alex Gillen looks like he's just going to kind of sit back and let these two drivers fight it out. And Alex gets a much better line through turn 4, and he's going to try around the outside of Kramma at turn 5 here. This is not a normal passing location at all. Kramma gives him the room, and Alex Gillen's got the inside line now for turn 6 and makes that move happen. That was unbelievable. That is just not a typical move whatsoever. I guess maybe that is a typical move if your name's Alex Gillen.
And then moving through, and right in the slipstream of Kramma is Kristian Nenov having a look, going up the hill now, going side by side, not really making the move stick. We can see as Kramma does a little bit of a jump there. But what about in the penultimate corner? Can he get a good run on Kramma? He's got a lot of KERS still left. So let's see, he goes to Rich Mix.
Yeah, Kramma's got a pretty good exit here, but it doesn't look like he had as much KERS to play with as Kristian, as he's going to go defensive to the inside for the hairpin for the final corner of lap 2. And Kristian's going to try it around the outside, and it looks like it's actually been successful. He's got some KERS to spare, and he's in Rich Mix as well. And it looks like he's going to be able to make that move happen at down towards the turn 1 at the start of lap 3 here. And we can see, actually, that he has, in fact, gotten past. And moving on board now with Jack First, who's bringing up the tail of this race. He's in 12th out of 14 drivers. Gosh, and that's not a good way to go through turn 2 at all. He pretty much just turned it into a 90-degree corner. That was really interesting. I think he was trying something different to maybe try and get a good run on somebody, and unfortunately that has damaged his front wing, and that's going to put him off the track at turn 4 as well. The loss of downforce with the heavy fuel and the late braking is just sent around. Oh no, as we got Klowitzki as well, also in the gravel at the exit of turn 6 there. And he's going to rejoin just ahead of Cem Bolukbasi, who's got to take to the outside of turn 7 there to avoid contact with the Caterham driver there. And Klawutski definitely got some damage there, as we're back on board with the other Caterham of Kristian Nenov, who is up into P5, just behind Alex, who is just behind Granu. And we can already see, if you look at the mini-map, Gaston Rivero and Kifla are gone. And this is not what Alex Gillen or Kristian Nenov want right now. Granu looking like he's struggling a little bit in that Mercedes, possibly, in these opening laps. And it's just opening up a huge gap to the top two, which is not looking good for anybody that's below Granu.
Let's see, there's a big gap coming to the... Oh, I think...
Oh, there's contact
between Alex and Granu.
Sorry, dude.
And possibly a third car as well. I think Kristian may have been involved in that incident as well. I'm not sure if he got caught out or what exactly happened there.
A car in the pits, and I think that's Kristian actually.
Yep, but I did hear that Kristian was planning to pit at the end of this lap, though. So right. I don't think Kristian took any damage or anything like that. He's just planning to get off these option tires as quickly as possible. As we can see at the beginning of lap 4 here on Alex Gillen's display, he's got some pretty orange tires already, and it looks like he's going to be pitting at the end of lap 4 here. So Kristian's trying the undercut on Alex Gillen, see if maybe he can take that. Oh no! Oh. There's a huge lag moment for Kramma, and he's got it. Oh no! Oh no! Oh my gosh! And carnage at turn 4 as Kramma has a huge lag moment, gets off the track and gets some oversteer and ends up hitting Alex Gillen, I believe, or Alex Gillen hit him. Say it as you will, but the two cars coming into contact. Alex continues on. It doesn't appear that there's any damage to his Ferrari, but heavy damage to Kramma in the Sauber. He's definitely gonna have to pit, and unfortunately he's gonna have to do almost 2/3 of a lap with that damage to his car. Fat First now on board with Fat First. Of course, Kristian has pit, so Fat First is essentially in a net 6th position, I would say. Depending on, I don't think anybody else has pit on lap 3. I believe that was really just Kristian that's pitting that early. So he's in a net 6th right now. He's moved up quite a few positions. He's having a much better start to this race than the other Red Bull of Jack First, that's for sure.
Let's see if Alex gets by Granu. No, they both pits and Fat First pits as well, so lap 4 seems to be the favorite.
Yeah, and we move on board with Kifla now up at the front, who's having an extremely lonely race in first at the moment. And just look at the state of his tires. He's got a pretty orange front left and a pretty orange rear right. But his front right and rear left really aren't that bad. Oh, as we lose connection to Gaston Rivero, who is in a net P2. That is just, that's terrible. That is... that's really unfortunate for the Force India team, with F1 DJ starting from last and Gaston getting pole position. Certainly he was the favorite of the two Force Indias in this race, and that's good news for everybody that was below Gaston, which is of course everybody but Kifla. But really unfortunate for the Force India team, as Gaston was looking like he had some really good pace at this race. It's been a while since we had seen pace like this from Gaston.
Yeah, we saw... I think a couple of races we saw that he was right up there with Alex and Onich, even challenging for top 3s at least.
He even won a race last year, or last season, didn't he? He won Korea, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was Korea, which might have I think was actually his first race. So yeah, it was really good to see that his pace had come back to him, but just really unfortunate to see him disconnecting. That's just really rough. And we're on board with F1 DJ though, who is of course is making lots of headway through the field, of course, starting on the prime tires. So his tires right now are looking pretty good. Anybody that's ahead of him still on the options is going to be very vulnerable to attack for sure. So F1 DJ now the only Force India remaining in this race, and certainly they're going to be hoping that he can pull something out of the bag from 14th on the grid.
Kifla rejoining in 4th place, so you can see 3 cars ahead. I believe that is at least, I want to say, yeah, that is Izamusing in the Ferrari actually leading, and still on the option tires. Look at the worn rubber on the front left, just taking a huge pounding through these corners at least.
Absolutely, it's overheating, it's degrading, which is compounding the overheating, which is then compounding the degradation. So things are just getting worse and worse for Izamusing's tires here, as he's got F1 DJ behind. And as I said, anybody ahead of him still on the option tires is going to be extremely vulnerable to attack. And he's just outside of DRS range. Actually, DRS activation point is right here. In the middle of turn 13, and I think F1 DJ may have closed that gap down enough to get DRS on the Ferrari of Izamusing, who's going into rich mix. He doesn't have any curves remaining to defend with, and I imagine he's got to be pitting. He has to be pitting this lap. There's no way that he could continue on and do another lap with these tires, and he does dive into the pits at the end of lap 6. Now, I wanted to bring up something that you may have missed earlier. When Kifla came out of the pits there, his engineer came onto the radio and told him, you have 1 stop remaining. So it looks like Kifla may be attempting a 2-stop race, where most of the drivers, certainly Kristian Nenov, who we're on board with right now, Kristian Nenov is definitely doing a 3-stop race after stopping at the end of lap 3 for his first set of primes.
Yeah, usually we could see Izamusing doing 6 laps with the options, and he might have even had a fresh set of options, because I believe he started in 11th.
Starting from the back, yeah.
11th place, so he might have had a fresh set of options. And then the prime tires last usually about 10 laps or so, give or take.
Give or take, yeah.
1 or 2 laps.
Yeah, something like that. Certainly if you're 3-stopping, I think you're looking at more like 8 or 9 laps on the primes. But if you're 2-stopping, you're definitely going to need to eke that out. Maybe even try to get 11 or maybe 12 on the second stint. Not on the first one though, but yeah, like 10, 11, maybe 12 at the absolute most. We're on board with Kristian Nenov at the moment, and he has leapfrogged Alex in the pit stop phase. That undercut worked out beautifully, but he is now coming under attack from the former champion, who is only 4/10 behind in the Ferrari, and Kristian is doing his best to try and keep him behind, and he's doing a great job. I gotta say, Kristian looking very strong at this track. He's nailing all his corners, hitting all his apexes. Just look how smooth he is through turn 14 there. No hesitation, very little correction on the wheel. He's got loads of confidence. Moving on board now with Alex. He's got DRS on Kristian. I don't think he's not going to make the pass happen here. As with real life F1, you really don't want to be making the pass happen into turn 15, because then your rival is going to have DRS on you going down towards turn 1. So Alex has that DRS now. He's in rich mix. Looks like he's actually saving his curves though, but he might not need it. As he moves to the inside, he's going to do some late braking in that 1 lap fresher tires to move up the inside on Kristian, and actually he's going to take that position. I thought they were going to go side by side through turn 2, a la Weber and Vettel in 2013, but no, he just takes that position, storms right through, and I'm sure Kristian is going to do his best to try and keep up with him, as Jack First is going to be just behind Cem Bolukbasi. There's a little bit of contact, and that's spun Cem ever so slightly, and Jack First is clearly looking very racy on these warm prime tires, as Cem is just coming out of the pits. Cem started on the prime tires as well, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so yeah, he stopped at the end of lap 7, so it looks like Cem is going for a 3-stop in spite of starting on the prime tire, so he's still going for a 3-stop. I imagine the next stop he's going to make probably lap 15 for the primes once again. Oh, is he struggling through turn 6? He's in the dirt, and wow, very difficult for Jack First here to try and determine what he's supposed to do. If he's supposed to go to the inside, the outside. Certainly turn 7 and 8, not a good location to pass anybody. So I think Jack First very, very intelligently letting off and just kind of slotting behind Cem. But certainly he's going to be looking to get by him as soon as we can. Back on board with Klawutski, who's got Mini Black in the Sauber just behind him. And he's very close, and it looks like Kristian's taking a little bit of a tighter line. Oh, and he finally does make a little bit of a mistake through turn 14 there. That's going to put Mini Black right up behind him. And Klawutski is actually going to hold on to his curves very intelligently. He's going to actually let Mini Black pass. And then he's going to get DRS right there. That was the detection line. And then he's going to come out of the corner side by side with him, use the rest of his curves plus that DRS, and maintain that 9th position.
Very smart. Very smart.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very intelligent driving here from the German in the Caterham. Doing a great job as we finish lap 8 and start lap 9. And we're moving on board now with F1 DJ, who is still on the prime tires, and it looks like he's coming under attack from Kifla at the moment. And Kifla is, of course, on fairly new prime tires. He pit at the end of lap 5, so they're only about 4 laps old or so. And he's really looking to get by F1 DJ here as soon as he can, and F1 DJ goes wide on turn 14 there, and that's going to put Kifla along the inside, and he's going to use some KERS and DRS and take that position. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. As we got a Mercedes off track, that is Cem, who seems to be really struggling. Yeah, once again, Cem off the track. Seems to really be struggling with this Malaysia circuit.
Yeah, and skipping now to lap 10, I was just about to say that F1 DJ really has to eke out these. If he's gonna go for the 2-stop, then he has to do at least 10 or 11 laps on the primes respectively, and then 6 or 7 laps with the options at the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, I imagine he is, and he does dive into the pits, so I imagine he's probably going to be doing 11 laps on the next stint, maybe 12 if he's feeling brave, and then, as you said, followed by a 6 or 7 lap stint on the options. Now, normally the options don't last that long, as you guys saw. Izamusing struggling to get to the end of lap 6 on his options, but by the end of this race, by lap 20 or 21, when F1 DJ is going onto these option tires, the track is going to be very rubbered in. There's not going to be nearly as much graining, and he's going to easily, I think, be able to do 6 or 7 laps on those option tires right at the end there. Also, I do think that the 2-stop is the faster way around this circuit if you can be kind on your tires.
Yep.
But it looks like that most of the drivers today are actually having a hard time with the tires. So far, it's really looking like Kifla and F1 DJ, who started at the very front and very back of the grid, are the only two that are really attempting that 2-stop strategy.
I'm looking if that's Granu on option tires actually. This Izamusing's quality isn't great, but let's see, because we're coming to the braking zone here. Yeah, those are, I believe, those option tires.
Think so. Yeah, it's a really hard time telling here what Granu's on, but yeah, I think you might be right there. We're moving on board now with F1 DJ, who has finally made his pit stop, and he did go on to the prime, so he is going to be looking to do that late race option stint. And he's just behind Jack First now, and he is on fresher tires than the rest of the grid. So that's one of the nice parts about his varied strategy, his different strategy versus the rest of the grid, is that he's going to have fresher tires when everybody else is on older tires, but then also vice versa. He's going to be on older tires when everybody else is on fresher tires. So we should see a lot of passing from F1 DJ here in this race, both him passing people and him being passed by people. As Jack First does dive into the pits at the end of lap 11, and that's going to give him a position. Back on board with Izamusing. No, and Granu is on the primes. I could see going through turn 2 there. Granu is on the prime tires. And Izamusing using all of his KERS. He's going to look to the inside of Granu. Granu being a little defensive, pushing him to the inside. Izamusing, is he going to be able to brake in time? And he does, just barely keeping it on the track. But Granu had a better racing line through turn 4 there and keeps that 4th place position ahead of the Ferrari. And again, Izamusing just feeding the car so far to the left. It's something that we're seeing this season that we really haven't seen in previous games or previous seasons. Everybody going very far to the left at the exit of turn 5. You can see them almost clipping the grass where the curbing ends before flicking it to the right to open up turn 6 as much as they can. And it's really impressive to see the amount of grip that these cars have. And it's really competitive in this league, and it's just amazing to see how similar everybody is taking that corner. Kristian, Granu, Izamusing here, Alex, everybody taking that corner the same way as Izamusing is very close to Granu now under braking for turn 14, and he's got a nice run, and he's got DRS, but he doesn't have any KERS, which is certainly going to hurt him. As Alex dives into the pits, no, at the end of lap 12 here, and he's gone into the gravel. He's got some gravel and some grass on his tires. And it looks like Granu as well is going to dive into the pits at the end of lap 12. So Granu and Alex looks like they're on the same pit strategy. And both of those drivers are very fast, so it wouldn't surprise me if that is the right strategy call indeed, especially for a 3-stop. I'm thinking laps 4 and 12 and 20, something like that. Looking like the right call. On board with Kristian now as we start lap 13. He's currently in a net 5th after passing a whole bunch of cars in the pits there. Or I'm sorry, net 4th as he has pit twice now, and F1 DJ ahead has only pit once. Skipping ahead now to just one lap, skipping ahead to lap 14, and Jack First is just behind Mini Black, and he's got a whole allotment of KERS to use. And he's actually going to hold off. Yeah, I think he almost even used too much. He's gonna have a look up the inside of Mini Black for turn 15, and he's all over that curb to try and get a nice run out of the corner, using the rest of that KERS now. Of course, Mini Black behind in the Sauber is going to have DRS, and I think Mini Black actually saved his KERS on that run down to turn 15. Jack First, though, is defensive. He's going to have the inside line, but Mini Black coming at him from the outside of turn 1, and he's alongside him. He's going to have the inside line for turn 2. Jack First has to yield, and but he gets a better run out of turn 2, and Jack First stays ahead of Mini Black after those first couple of corners. But Mini Black is coming back at him. He must have used some KERS as he's got the inside line now for turn 4. There's a little bit of contact between the drivers, thankfully no spinning or anything, and side by side as they come out of the corner, Jack First gets a better exit, and he's going to hold on to that position once again. Incredible racing here in Malaysia.
Great battling all through the field. It just shows the skill in this league, really. And there seems to be a little bit of contact. Cem,
what are you doing?
yeah, I could hear there Cem complaining about Izamusing. And he must be really struggling with his tires. He looks really slow.
Yep, I think so. And Cem going off track once again. This time not his fault though. But that's really not going to help him in this race going off the track this much.
No, not really. And Kristian just flying by Izamusing through that penultimate corner. Didn't they really have to try looking at his rear tires? And yeah, Izamusing going to
yep, he does pit. He does dive into the pits, and I'm sure he's going to be very happy to put on a new set of boots. And back on board with F1 DJ now, and look at the gap to Kifla. 19 seconds ahead. We are just barely past the halfway point of this race, and this is confirmation now. Kifla has not stopped a second time, and here we are on lap 16. So Kifla is definitely doing a two-stop. If he stops at the end of lap 16 here, he's only got 12 laps to do on those prime tires, which means he may have only 1 or 2 slow laps. And with a 19-second lead ahead of second place, you got to say Kifla is looking very good for the win here in Malaysia already.
If you compare we certainly know that F1 DJ and Kifla are both doing the two-stop. Then you can compare that between those two strategies, Kifla is 20 seconds ahead, and not to take any credit away from F1 DJ, he's doing an excellent job right here, starting from, I believe, 14th. Yeah, and that's Granny going wide, so trouble for the Mercedes. For both
after
cars.
A very disappointing Australia, it seems like both Mercedes again really struggling here in Malaysia. And we're on board with Kifla now, and we can see this enormous gap, and it does look like he is being called into the pits now by his team, and he's going to take this very fast final corner. I really love the pit entrance for Malaysia. It's a fantastic. I like that there's 2 different racing lines for the final corner, depending on if you're pitting or not.
Yep.
And it really mixes things up, not just here in AOR, but also in the real F1 league. And he's going to slot into the pits, and it's a very lonely pit lane. Pitting from first. It's a 3.1 second pit stop, not held up, no issues, no damage to his front wing, no need to replace. And F1 DJ is going to take the lead of this race after starting from last place on the grid. You can't help but love an underdog story, and boy is F1 DJ giving us a great underdog story here today in Malaysia.
Yeah, even if it's for a couple of laps, it's great to see new color, new faces on the front of the field. And
absolutely.
Actually, Kristian Nenov, he's on pretty worn tires, but I believe Kifla's tires are still pretty cold, so he might just hang on to Kifla for a while here. Let's see if he
of
can.
Course, Kristian's got one more stop to make, so I mean, I don't think he might not even realize this at this point in the race, but he needs to clear Kifla and then pull out about a 25-second gap in order to actually beat Kifla. So really not looking good for Kristian here, as he's basically keeping up with Kifla, and he's got a whole nother pit stop to make. Alex Gillen still behind Kristian, actually, so it looks like Kristian's pit stop strategy of stopping 1 lap earlier than everybody else seems to be working out pretty well. He might have troubles later in the race, but for right now it seems to be doing pretty good, as Kifla just goes flying by F1 DJ, who is of course on 7-lap old tires now at this point, 7-lap old primes. He's got at least 4 more laps to do on this set of primes before he goes on to those options. And I imagine he's going to be very quick in that final stage. So he's going to come out probably in a net 8th or 9th or 7th, somewhere around there. But he's going to be on that brand new set of options with that rubbered-in track, and it's just going to give him every opportunity to make up as many positions as he can at the close of this race. And so Kifla's gotten by F1 DJ, but Kristian has not. So Kristian is in that dirty air, and very nicely through turn 2 there, using all of the track to really good effect, is Kristian Nenov, and he's getting a bit of a slipstream from F1 DJ, but F1 DJ actually pulled out a little bit of a gap on Kristian in that first few corners of Sector 1. And going through Sector 2 now, and oh man, even riding on board, even if I'm not the one driving, just riding on board through these corners is so much fun. I just really enjoyed the really high-speed corners, especially here, 7 and 8 as well. Really got to nail both of those apexes, stay off of that line. And if I'm not mistaken here, I think Kristian might actually be pulling a gap to Alex Gillen, even though Alex has the fresher tires.
Yeah, Alex just about keeping with Kristian. The pace looks pretty similar. We have to remember, actually, Kristian and F1 DJ here are fighting for position, because they both have 1 stop to go. 1
more stop to make, yeah, good point. Very good point there. It's 2 different tires and 2 very different times. Actually, no, they should be pitting around the same lap, interestingly enough. 20 for Kristian and 21 for F1 DJ, as I'd imagine. As in the back here, we got some very close racing between Mini Black in the Sauber and Cem Bolukbasi in the Mercedes, with Izamusing getting a fantastic run. Oh no, and there's contact between Izamusing and the Sauber, and that has sent Mini Black spinning off of the track. And that is really unfortunate for Mini Black. Just really unfortunate for everyone involved there. As we're on board with Kristian now, he's got the DRS open. He's going to try and make a run on F1 DJ. F1 DJ's got the inside line for turn 1. He's going to brake pretty early there, actually. Looks like he's sort of conceding the position to Kristian. I don't think he wants to lose too much time battling Kristian here. He wants to just maintain his pace, try and put in consistent laps, I imagine. And we can see his tires are pretty orange, but nothing red too yet. Certainly, he won't have any problem finishing this lap, but he's going to have to do 1 more after this one if he wants to have any hope of making it to the end on those option tires for the final stint.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I think we talked about this last time in Australia, that F1 DJ maybe still a little bit conservative. And I have to say, I've watched his replay of the video, and he brakes really early for these corners. Like you could brake 20 meters later for that corner at least. Yeah, that hairpin there. Yeah, he was braking at about 120, 110 meters or so. He is on worn tires though, and he does have the dirty air effect. So I think he's trying to avoid a Esteban Gutierrez type incident like he had on Sutil in China in 2013, where you're so close to the car behind, and your tires are struggling, and then you just end up locking, and you run straight into the back of someone, lose some front wing and stuff, and I think he's really trying to avoid that. And Kristian does pit, as does Alex. So interestingly enough, Kristian, who had been pitting 1 lap earlier than Alex for the entire race, now pits on the same lap as Alex. So who changed their strategy here, though? Was it Alex or Kristian? I want to say it was Alex, actually. I think Alex is stopping a lap early. Maybe Alex was thinking about doing the undercut on Kristian. So
possibly, yeah, very possible.
Pit stops. But
yeah, so they're going to have 9 laps to do on this final stint, but again, with a rubbered-in track.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. And who's that? There's Cem Bolukbasi joining between
Alex and Kristian.
Yeah. Let's see if
which is great news for Kristian.
Yeah, let's see if he can shake things up a little bit here.
Yep, he's on a little bit more worn tires, but of course Kristian just came out of the pits just like Alex did, so Cem might be able to cause some problems here if he decides to. Now he's on the 3-stop strategy after starting on the primes, so he's probably going to be stopping at the end of lap 22, I'd imagine, for his option stint, for his final stop on the options there, because I think Cem has only run the primes so far. I believe this is his 3rd prime stint.
Yeah, that might be very possible, and Alex not particularly close here, but probably just waiting for those tires to warm up a little bit, and soon looking to pass Cem and maybe Kristian as well.
He's within DRS range, which is certainly going to help him a lot in his efforts to try and get past Cem. So here we are at the end of lap 20, and F1 DJ is pitting, so it is going to be 8 laps that he has to do on those option tires. He's probably going to be very fast for laps 21 through 26, but laps 27 and 28, he is really going to be struggling on those option tires, I think, as they will be near the cliff, if not off the cliff. And here he is diving into the pits, and as we mentioned, he is going to drop. He's going to drop several places, but he should be pretty close to a number of cars as he's coming out of the pits, as Alex moves ahead of several cars in the pits and up into a net 3rd place position, just behind Kristian Nenov now as he gets past Cem Bolukbasi, who again I do believe is going to have to pit one more time for the option tires. And moving on board now with Jack first, as he's going to come as Granu is coming out of the pits just ahead of him in the Mercedes. And it looks like he's on the prime tires at the moment, so Granu at some point... No, Granu started on the options. He was 3rd on the grid. I certainly hope he was on the options, qualifying 3rd. So Jack first is just behind Granu now. Very close, actually, less than 4/10 behind the Finn in the Red Bull at the moment, and he's looking very racy. Granu goes a little bit wide through that corner. He's just barely keeping it on the black stuff where that rubbered in line is. And we're on board with Izamusing now, and he's got Cem Bolukbasi just ahead, Fat First just behind. And good, he's got about a 3.4 second gap to Cem, so we don't have to worry about any more incidents between the Mercedes and Ferrari driver here. As Fat First is just out of DRS range at the split there as we start Sector 3. I'm not sure if he got it. And we're on board with Fat First now. We'll get a great... And we see F1 DJ is in 7th place, and he's just behind Fat First in 6th on those option tires. So what he needs to do here, he needs to get by Fat First and Izamusing, and he probably needs to pull out a good 5 or 6 second gap on the Red Bull and the Ferrari in order to hang on to that. But that would be an excellent finish for F1 DJ to finish 5th in the race after starting 14th on the grid. Really pulling for the guy at this moment, as Izamusing is going to go defensive. He's going to have the inside line for turn 1 against Fat First. F1 DJ, though, clearly has been using a lot of fuel, as he's actually at -1 lap. Started lap 22 now as Kristian Nenov does the fastest lap of the race. I'm sure much to the chagrin of Alex Gillen, who is doing his best to try and keep up with him, as there's a little bit of contact between F1 DJ and Izamusing. Izamusing's got the inside line as they break for turn 4. Again, F1 DJ, I think, being very cautious, but he gets a pretty decent exit aside from the wheel spin. There's a little bit more contact. He's got the inside line, but Izamusing is just a car's length ahead or so. And yeah, he's going to hang on to that position, and F1 DJ going to very wisely slot in behind him. And I imagine he's going to try and have a really good run through the double apex 7 and 8, and he's going to try and maybe have a look at the hairpin, but no, unfortunately, no opportunity at turn 9 here to get by Izamusing. I think really what he needs to do here is put it into lean. He needs to be in lean for this whole time that he's following Izamusing, and then as soon as they get to the DRS detection, he can put it up into rich. Or actually, honestly, after the DRS detection, he probably wants to stay in lean, save his curves, just stick with him in lean for this first DRS straight, and then as he's coming out of the final corner, put it into rich, use that curves, use that DRS, and just pass Izamusing. Because unfortunately, Jack First in the Red Bull up ahead, or Fat First, excuse me, has already started to pull away from the Force India of F1 DJ, who's got the inside line on Izamusing, and he's going to use the rest of that curves. But of course, Izamusing has that DRS now, and he's going to have the inside line on F1 DJ here as this battle between the Force India and the Ferrari continues on till lap 23 now. And F1 DJ's got the outside line for turn 1, inside line for turn 2. Izamusing's going to try the cutback. He's got a good exit, but not as good as the option tire runner of F1 DJ in the Force India. He's using all of his curves, though. I swear he did this same move earlier in the race, but unfortunately no. It looks like F1 DJ uses some curves to defend and hangs on to that position. Great stuff from F1 DJ here in the Force India, moving up into P6 in the closing stages of this race.
This is what we talked about last race when I believe F1 DJ was on the super softs then, and then he was just not able to make those crucial passes, but this is one of those crucial passes that he really had to make to make his race that much better.
Absolutely, yeah, and you can see he's actually already starting to pull a gap. He's almost got Izamusing out of that DRS range, and I imagine with those fresher tires through turn 11 there, I imagine he's going to pull that extra 400ths that he was missing, and I think Izamusing is unfortunately just out of DRS range. So thankfully for F1 DJ though, I think that means, yep, that is the end of that battle, as he's going to move on and try and challenge Fat First in the Red Bull up ahead for P6.
Yeah, and word on the firsts, we of course saw that accident with Jack First on lap 3, I believe, with the inside bollard. So I believe he pit right on that lap. He just wanted to minimize the time lost because of that broken front wing. So he's just trying to get back into the race, but just really struggling with traffic.
Yeah, and especially because of how competitive Split 1 is this season, just having a really tough time, as Izamusing pitting at the end of lap 23 for a set of the options. So unfortunately for Izamusing, that's going to drop him way down into P12. He's only got Mini Black, and I think, is it Jack First in last at the moment still?
Might be.
Not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Skipping ahead now, though, to the penultimate lap, and Klawutski, who's been having a great race after a great qualifying, and he is just behind Boyasi in the Williams. There's a little bit of contact between them, and he's actually going to try it around the outside. I thought he was going to try the undercut there at turn 2, and Boyasi just giving him barely enough room. And Klawutski is going to use some curves, excuse me, not DRS. He's going to use some curves to try and make that move happen, and he does. He's made it stick, and he is ahead of the Williams now. And it's going to be tough for him to stay ahead of that Williams, of course. At the end of lap 27, he's going to have 2 DRS, and then he's going to have 1 more DRS opportunity at the end of lap 28. So Boyasi is going to have 3 opportunities to try and make that get that position back. As we're on board with Kifla at the moment, and as we talked about before, he is going to be struggling for the final couple of laps. But let's take a look and see what the gap looks like to Kristian Nenov at the moment.
I think it was about 11 seconds on the last timing, so let's see if there's any evolving there.
I mean, it's got to be close to 20 seconds. I don't know if we're going to stay on board with Kifla for long enough to see that split. But here it is. Kifla gets the white flag. Final lap of the race.
He's taking it really easy.
Yeah, his front left is really dead. I mean, absolutely dead. It looks much worse than Alex's front left does here, for example. Alex again finds himself in P3 at the end of the race here. He's actually lost time to Kristian. He was only about 1.5 seconds behind Kristian when they pit for the final stint, and it looks like Kristian's actually been able to pull out that gap by a couple more seconds, and it's 3 seconds or thereabouts. As Jack First was not in last place. I do apologize to Team First. Jack First is currently defending from Granu. He's in P8. He's got the inside line now, and he's running Granu a little bit wide, but he's leaving him enough room, and he just barely got that rear right tire onto the black stuff, and he's able to get the power down out of turn 3 and stay ahead of Granu for the final lap of this race. Granu's looking up the inside, though, and Jack First braking a little bit later, though. So Granu at the moment in
that's Cem behind.
Oh, that's Cem behind. I apologize. That is Cem Bolukbasi in the Mercedes that's challenging Jack First here, not Granu. So actually, it's looking like a pretty good race for the Mercedes guys. Both of them are in the points at the moment. Of course, neither of them scoring points in Australia, so it's looking pretty good for them. Back on board with Kifla as he's going to take the final corner of the race with that very, very red front left tire. And you could just see the gap as Kristian is just now breaking into the final corner. And the gap is just amazing as Kifla once again with a dominant victory. I mean, it's really amazing. I expected at least Alex to be challenging for the lead, but Kifla once again just really, really fast. He made the two-stop work. You know, I'm reminded of Kimi Räikkönen in 2013 Australia, where he's setting fastest laps and doing one less stop than everybody else. Just really impressive stuff. As Jack First is defending from Cem Bolukbasi, he's got the inside line, and it looks like Jack First got the better exit, and he's going to hang on to that P8 position ahead of Cem. Izamusing in the end could not make up any positions after that late race pit stop for the options, and actually runs out of fuel as he crosses the line. In the end, Kifla over 7 seconds ahead of Kristian Nenov. It does look like the field has closed down a little bit on Kifla, though, in spite of Kifla's two-stop strategy. So it does look like it's a little bit closer maybe than it was in Australia. Alex comes home in third, only 3 seconds behind Kristian. Fat First comes home in fourth, 4 seconds behind Alex, with Klowitzki getting a very impressive P5, 25 seconds behind Kifla. Behind him was Boyasi in the Williams, who only finished 1.9 seconds behind Klowitzki. Very close finish there. Granu comes home in seventh, gets a very well-deserved 6 points after a tough Australia. Jack First comes home in eighth after a very difficult start to his race and losing bits of his front wing. He gets some points. Cem Bolukbasi gets his first points in AOR, getting ninth place here in Malaysia, with Kramma rounding out the top 10, getting 1 point for Team Sauber. As unfortunately, Mini Black was way, way back. I mean, he just really wasn't anywhere to be seen this race.
You know, he had that accident in the penultimate corner.
Right, yeah. Really unfortunate stuff. Yeah, he had that contact with Izamusing, but honestly, I mean, he was right around where Izamusing was anyway, so it wasn't looking like he was going to get any points anyway. Kifla extends that lead ahead of Alex Gillen. It's now a 20-point lead after only 2 races. Alex Gillen moving up into second with 30 points. Kristian Nenov in third with 28 points, and Jack First in fourth with 22 points. So only 8 points separating second, third, and fourth. It's looking very close. Fat First in fifth. He moves up to fifth and has 18 points. Boyasi stays in sixth with 16 points. Gaston Rivero unfortunately loses positions because of that disconnect. Really unfortunate. You know, who knows what he could have done in the race. Klowitzki moves up and now has 11 points. He's ahead of Granu, who moves up as well with the 6 points that he got from Malaysia. Furkan Özcan losing some positions, some points. Unfortunately, he wasn't in the race today. Kramma loses positions as well, and Cem Bolukbasi moves himself out of the bottom 4 as he got a couple of points. In the constructors, McLaren is 14 points ahead of Red Bull, who is only 1 point ahead of Caterham, who are looking very strong with Kristian and Klowitzki this year. Ferrari a further 9 points back in fourth, with Williams being 14 points behind them in fifth. Force India, tough race for them, unfortunately. Actually, F1 DJ got disconnected. We didn't even get a shot of that, but F1 DJ did not finish the race. So, unfortunately, Force India has a really rough Malaysia there. Mercedes, though, moves ahead of Sauber as both of their drivers finish in the points, and Sauber now taking up the rear with only 3 points. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check out the description of this video for links to the YouTube and Twitch channels for all the drivers who sent footage, and we will see you in China.
Yeah, we'll see you there.